What is going on, people? TripleM back again with another video. It's daily list of football content, and tonight I've got a very short and sweet video for you guys discussing Graham Potter's Chelsea as they get a 2-1 win over Salzburg. And cynics will say it's just Salzburg. What's so impressive? I'll tell you what's so impressive. The last time Chelsea beat an Austrian team away from home was when the Champions League wasn't even called the Champions League. It was called the Cup Winners' Cup. Back in the old days, before you and I were born, at least. By you, I mean most of the people watching this video. I doubt someone was alive during the Cup Winners' Cup days. And if you are, I apologize for insulting your age. But anyways, let's move on with the video. Chelsea did not start well to the Champions League group either. So their threat of being knocked out was a genuine thing. Their threat of dropping down to the Europa League was a genuine thing going into this game. So that's another reason why it was a very big win. In terms of how Chelsea lined up for this game, they played obviously a back three. What was interesting is they didn't play with their traditional wing backs. I don't know what's going on with Chilwell. I know that Reece James is injured, and for some reason, I can't remember who Chelsea's other wing back is that plays on the right-hand side. The name is just escaping me, so I'm not going to embarrass myself and have a guess. But anyways, Pulisic played out wide. Sterling played on the left, and if you watch the game, you would know that Sterling was immense tonight. He didn't have his best of games, but he was very productive for Chelsea down this left-hand side. So was Marco Correa. So was Jorginho. His positioning was very, very good tonight. And in fact, I think Kovacic was the one who played more on the left and Jorginho on the right, and they would interchange from time to time. But anyways, they had a lot of joy down this left-hand side. And I think one of the biggest things that nearly cost Chelsea tonight was a lack of being clinical, specifically Aubameyang, right? There was a couple of occasions in the first half, one occasion in particular where Gallagher played a perfectly threaded ball, a line-breaking pass that took all four, I should say, of Salzburg's defenders out of the game, out of the equation immediately. Went straight to Aubameyang's feet, and his first touch let him down. And the keeper hadn't even read the ball yet. He was still adjusting his body shape and trying to make a run. So Aubameyang had time to trap the ball and have a shot, and he messed it up. His first touch led the ball directly into the keeper's path, and the Salzburg keeper, I can't remember his name. I think it's Kohn, Kohn. I'm not sure if that's how it's even pronounced, but he had a very good game today, and he had quite a couple of instances where he was able to save a one-on-one shot from Aubameyang. I don't know if that's down to Aubameyang's just overall lack of quality tonight, or if that's down to him being a good goalkeeper, or both. But either way, I think that Aubameyang should have a long look in the mirror today, because he had quite a few good opportunities that I would say are clear-cut opportunities. I wouldn't even call them half chances, and he really let himself down. And in fact, he's lucky that Chelsea have won this game, because I think if Chelsea hadn't have won this game, you can go back and say they could have lost, right? They didn't create that many clear-cut chances for other players. Like Havertz, the goal that he scored, it was a brilliant goal, but that goal came out of nowhere. That was individual brilliance. First of all, Christian Pulisic is the one who set it up. Christian Pulisic was the one who dribbled and held the ball up magnificently. And for some reason, the Salzburg players could not stop him. I think they were scared to foul him because they thought it wasn't necessary. And to be honest, while I was watching it, I thought, oh, this is a nice little dribble, but it's not going to lead into anything, right? It can't possibly lead to anything. And then boom, he finds Kai Havertz, and Kai Havertz finds the top left corner. And he leaves the Salzburg keeper absolutely stunned, as well as every other Salzburg player on the field, including their manager as well. Fantastic technique, beautiful goal. And speaking of beautiful goals, Kovacic with a magnificent shot, an excellent shot produced from an awkward angle and almost out of nowhere. Oh my God, I don't even know what word to describe it. It was just beautiful, creme de la creme, perfection. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. I can't believe how he managed to put that in the back of the net from that angle with his left foot, almost just nonchalantly, like, you know what? I'm not going to let this ball roll past me. Let me just have it a go. I'm going to hazard a guess and try to see if this ends up in the top left corner. And it did. And it actually did. What a finish by Kovacic. He's easily one of the most underrated players and midfielders specifically in world football at the moment, because I think since his arrival at Chelsea, people don't really talk about him that much. Even when Chelsea won the Champions League, there was a lot of talk about Kai Havertz. There was a lot of talk about Mason Mount. There was a lot of talk about Romelu Lukaku because of how bad he was. There was so much attention, negatively or positively, distributed towards other players, but nobody really spoke about Kovacic. And by nobody, I mean the vast majority of fans. I'm sure there's someone watching this video who's been talking about Kovacic for a very long time, but the vast majority of fans, including myself, don't recognize the value that Kovacic brings to that team. I remember when Jorginho was getting Ballon d'Or shouts, And Kovacic was nowhere in the conversation. And people were genuinely saying that Jorginho is the reason that Chelsea's midfield is thriving. Not Kante, not Kovacic. No, it's Jorginho. Look at what he did in the Euros for Italy, right? People were convinced that he was the key. He was the glue that held the Chelsea ship together. And in actuality, I think more credit needs to be attributed to someone like Mateo Kovacic. Just a personal opinion of mine. Let's talk about Graham Potter very briefly before I end the video off, and let's congratulate him, because even though Chelsea made life very difficult for themselves in the second half and the game opened up quite a lot, and there were periods where Salzburg looked like they were in the ascendancy, they looked like they had the attacking initiative, they were able to string a couple of corners together, a couple of chances created, and really pepper the Chelsea goal and ask questions of Kepa. I think that Chelsea played well. Despite that second half, I think that Chelsea played well. On the balance of it, they were the better team, not even marginally. They were the better team, not just in terms of individual quality, but in terms of control, fluidity, and just the possession they had. In the first half an hour, Chelsea had about 67% possession and about 100 more touches than Salzburg. 100 more passes, actually, not touches, passes than Salzburg. That's crazy. And again, I know some people say, well, it's just Salzburg. Salzburg are a very good team. They're a very good team. They don't lose at home very often. In fact, I don't think they've lost at home since last year. That's a crazy stat. I don't know if that stat specifically in their league or it applies to European football as well. But now that I think about it, I'm going to hazard a guess and say they haven't lost at home even in Europe, because I can't remember a team beating Salzburg. And I might sound crazy right now, and someone can correct me in the comments down below if I'm wrong. But I'm going to hazard a guess and say Salzburg actually haven't been beaten in the last year, even in Europe, because they're just that difficult to play against at home, right? At home. Away from home, different story. The point I'm trying to make is this was not an easy game for Chelsea, and they showed moments, glimpses of dazzling football. It was genuinely inspiring. There were moments where in the game, Aubameyang played a backheel to Sterling and then made a run, and they had a little beautiful, intricate 1-2 that almost led to something special if it were not for the obstruction of the offside Kai Havertz and the offside Christian Pulisic, and obviously Aubameyang's nonchalant finishing tonight. But yeah, I mean, there's so much to look at in that Chelsea performance. There's so much to look at in this team and be proud about. I don't think Aubameyang played that well. But apart from him, I thought Conor Gallagher was very productive in the middle of the park, both on the left-hand side, the right-hand side, and through the middle. He played one key pass that I remember specifically to Aubameyang, which should have been a goal. Kai Havertz, I thought he was very productive tonight, not just because of the goal, but he put in a lot of, he had a lot of productive moments in the game. I don't know why my brain started to malfunction there. He had a lot of productive moments in the game, I feel, right? You guys are welcome to disagree. Christian Pulisic probably would be man of the match for Chelsea if it weren't for those other two goals. Let's be honest. He was immense tonight. He was immense. And what's crazy is that most of Chelsea's chances and most of Chelsea's play, particularly in the first half, came down the left-hand side. But I noticed Christian Pulisic more than I noticed Raheem Sterling. Now, I don't know if that's because most of the stuff he was doing on the ball was a little bit more dazzling, where Sterling was just keeping it simple, looking for the pass and go and whatnot. But I don't know what it's down to, but just visually in terms of the eye test, I've got no data to back this up. Just visually in terms of the eye test, I thought Christian Pulisic was Chelsea's most productive player going forward. Jorginho, I thought he was really good. As I said earlier in the video, I thought his positioning was fantastic. And you could say the same about Mateo Kovacic. I thought Chalobah was probably their best defender as well. I don't know if it was Kukurea or Chalobah who saved the opportunity from the corner off the line. Salzburg could have easily brought that game to 2-2 if it were not for Chalobah on the line. I believe it was him, because Kepa was nowhere to be found, Silva was nowhere to be found, Chalobah was just chilling on the back post waiting for an opportunity, and boy did he save that opportunity. So he hardly put a foot wrong tonight. The only thing he did wrong was there was a moment in the game where Salzburg were counter-attacking, and there was sort of a dead ball that bounced towards him, and it was at an awkward height, so he tried to clear it, and instead of clearing it for a throw-in or up the field, he somehow gave a corner. That's the only thing I remember him doing badly tonight. Apart from that, he was flawless. Absolutely flawless. Marc Cucurella, I didn't notice him tonight. I didn't notice him. But for a defender, that's not a bad thing. If you're not noticing a defender that much, that means they're probably doing their job. Because when you notice a defender, it either means they put in a man-of-the-match performance or they made a mistake that led to a goal. And if it's neither of the above, then it usually means they had a decent and quiet performance, which is what you want. You want your defenders to have decent and quiet performances where you don't really notice them, because it means they're doing their jobs. And I could say the same about Thiago Silva. But yeah, I've got nothing else to say about the game. I think Potter Ball is alive and well. I think we're starting to see the foundation of Graham Potter, and I think we're starting to see the insanity of Graham Potter. By the way, playing a back five without two traditional wing backs is only something Graham Potter is capable of doing. Playing Raheem Sterling and Christian Pulisic as wing backs is crazy. And I know they technically weren't wing backs because of how high they played, because Chelsea dominated possession, but off the ball, they had to track back and do defensive work. So Raheem Sterling was a wingback today. Christian Pulisic, the LeBron James of the Premier League, was a fullback. Well, not a fullback, but a wingback. That's crazy. Like, I can't believe I'm saying that out loud. Christian Pulisic and Sterling played as wingbacks. Only Graham Potter is capable of such insanity. But I love it. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. It's going to be scary to see how good this guy is when he gets the players he wants. But I've got nothing else to say. Leave a like on the video, comment if you want to, and subscribe to the channel. It would be nice to get to 400, man. So yeah, thank you for supporting the channel, for those of you who watched till the end. Peace.